Welcome to the StrongCast, where we talk all things performance and longevity. I'm Neil Toussaint, and I'm joined by Matteo. How's it going, Matteo?
Yo, everyone, all good, all good.
You're in the UK, in London, right now?
Yes,
Yeah?
exactly.
So,
A town close to London, but yes, I'm in UK, very, very close to London, like 20 minutes away from London.
nice, nice.
How old are you now?
Oh, how old am I? I'm 31.
31. So, like, now is the best time to think about longevity because that
Oh,
is the
yeah,
moment when all the injuries last a little bit longer than what you were used to.
for
So,
sure.
definitely, if you start to think about now, it's gonna last much, much longer.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Oh, totally, dude. I am on this for life, really. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to move, trying to. This is our vehicle to
Yeah.
experience the world, like our bodies. So, no matter what you're doing, like if you want to hike with some friends or something, like you need your body to be functioning. And then if you can't,
100%.
that's when we run into depression and all this other stuff. Like,
Well, I just heard this morning. I was listening to a podcast from this doctor, and it was not about physiotherapy. It was just like random talk. And
mm-hmm,
this guy just said, you appreciate health only when you lose it, because
mm-hmm.
there is people that will give all the riches they have in the world to get back the health they had before. So we need to learn to appreciate it now, at the day you're standing on, rather than think, oh, I didn't get like my massive trick or my whatever trick or whatever things you want, but then you're not healthy. So,
Exactly,
but better be able to wait for the right chance.
for sure. And like obviously, and I know you are too. We're all about pushing. It's not
Oh,
like
100%,
it's not
100%. It's
like
not like
we're
just
like trying to say
being
like, oh,
healthy.
baby recovery, don't just only mobility. It's it couldn't be farther from the truth. It's more just like, here are the things you need to do if you want to do this for a long time. You could
Yeah,
burn it to the ground in a couple years, get some crazy skill, and then like also get really hurt. Or you could take the time to develop a nice foundation and then have both for longer.
yeah,
But it's going to take more
100%.
work. It's going to take a lot of work.
The
Say
same
it.
approach that I have with some of my students, because some of the students they want to achieve really quick, and some of the students they are like, oh no, actually I have the patience to do it. So you need to find a balance as well when you teach.
Yeah.
Like
So
you want people to feel quick, but at the same time to don't get hurt.
right. Can you tell me about just how you promote health and longevity to kids? Because obviously they might not be thinking about that yet, and I know you coach and everything. So
Yeah. Okay. So let's start a little bit further back. Okay, let's start when I start teaching, because I start teaching almost 21 years ago.
wow, that's crazy.
So it's quite a long time.
I
I
did not
started
know
when I
you've been
was
coaching that long.
yeah, it's 21 years now. I started coaching when I was 18.
Wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, it's like almost 21 years now. So I started teaching when basically I was doing breakdance for 2 years, and randomly some of the students that were in school with me, they asked me, "Oh, do you teach what you do?" And I was like, "I never try, but like I would never say no to try something different." So I end up doing the first lesson of breakdance in a random dancing school. They asked me to teach a little bit of breakdance.
Yeah.
So I taught them like a couple of basics of breakdance, like windmills, start, footwork, stop rocks, and all this kind of stuff that I was doing. And I end up in a circle where I understood that everything about teaching was mechanic.
Hmm.
I didn't really understand the psychological aspect yet, but I understood the mechanic of the movement, because everything that I was trying on myself, I was trying to give to my students. And if it didn't work, I will try different approaches. And at the same time, as I was improving what I was doing, I was teaching in a better way. So
Hmm.
for me, teaching is a question of give and take. It's never giving only, it's never taking only, it's always a give and take. Sometimes I feel like the lower level of my students, the more knowledge I acquire to teach better.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have to
yeah.
start sometimes from the massive foundation. I remember when I was teaching in Italy, like for example, the difference between Italy and UK. Italy is a little bit more, there is more people that climb trees when they're kids. And there is more people that run in the street and they play football. So you have more coordinate people. Here in
Hmm.
UK, because it's colder, people are a little bit more scary. There is more traffic. They're a little bit more inside. So they end
Hmm.
up doing sports sometimes only at school or with the clubs. So you end up having less people coordinated. So for example, in Italy, I never taught people how to skip. here in UK, I had to teach people how to skip before a roundoff, for example.
Yeah.
So I was like, the lowest level I was teaching, the better I was getting at teaching. So that's what I loved on the switch I had here in UK. I had to learn way more way to teach that I never applied before. So that was like the best way.
That's such a good
I had
outlook,
to,
man.
yeah, it was like,
Because a lot of
I know
people
it sounds
complain
weird.
about like having, you know, kids that aren't high level or whatever, but that's such a good outlook. But continue.
Yeah, like because I never complain about the level of the people I have. I think everyone deserves the right to learn. So how can we like? I tell you this because when I started to do tricking in 2008, I remember I was the lowest level amongst my friend. Funny enough, all my friends at the time quit.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that actually kept doing it, which is funny because I was the oldest already when I started. Anyway, and they said, "Oh, you don't look very talented. Your style look a little bit rubbish. The way you move, you look a little bit like a gorilla." They said, and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't care about what's the level. I have all the rights, and especially I was super stubborn. I can learn whatever I want if I put enough effort in it. So that's why I never refuse any person almost that want to learn something. As long as they are willingly to work hard, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
So because that was my attitude: work hard and obtain what you want. If you're stubborn enough, you're gonna get it. Maybe you're not gonna get like double backflips on your 50s,
Right.
but you can get a round of backflip, which is today I had like a 61 years old doing round of backflip with me.
Yeah.
So
That's so awesome, man.
that's like never too late to learn.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. Like, there's so much that I love about what you just said. Like, one of the first, like the main thing is like everyone has the right to learn. Like, people don't. Like, I think you're paying it forward, you know? You got so much out of the community, so you want to give it back. And you know how hard it was, so you want to give it back. And like that's how we grow versus there's a lot of people that kind of just are like, you know, focus on their own thing and what they're doing, and which is fine. You need to do that at some points. Like, that's perfectly healthy, but then there becomes a point where it's like they think that they can't progress if they help people, like that it's a hindrance to help people versus it's almost the opposite. Like you're saying, you learn more when you help people, like not only about the actual technique, but about the learning process, about so many things outside of the cartwheel that you can take back to your triple or quad or whatever. Like,
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It can be anything. And also one thing I learned while I was teaching is to be able to listen everyone. Like for example, I tell you this because I remember I learned my triple cork. Okay, I went in Australia in 2013.
Okay.
And I learned my first triple cork, I think was 3 years after in 2016. So now it looks like there is not much connection, but
Yeah.
I remember when I was working, when I was listening, Bankovey and Tim Farley, they were talking about twisting. And basically, they were talking about like squeezing the ankles together and extend the leg. That was the tip that Tim Farley gave to Bankovey when they were working on standing double full. Standing double full is not my shit. I will probably never be able to. I almost landed, but then I got injured, so I never really tried again.
Yeah.
And basically, that tip, it just stays on the back of my mind for years. When I started to work on triple cork, I felt that there was something missing on my twisting, and that was like tightenings on the leg. And then the tip that Tim Farley gave to Bankovey came back on the back of the brain. I said, you know what, I'm gonna try. Maybe it's gonna work. And then suddenly I felt that extra little bit of rotation that was missing to land safely. And after 2 weeks of doing that, I actually learned my first triple cork.
That's so awesome, dude.
So that's amazing, especially because that just tells me that every person can tell you something. It's up to your interpretation to what you can learn of it.
Totally.
So like it doesn't matter the level. Okay, now I'm talking Tim Farley, which is like a huge level of tricking.
Right,
like
right.
First person to snatch cannon. So of course, but it could have been a kid that talking about like like ice skating and about spinning on the ice and the same concept because we're talking about kinetic force. So it would have tell the same. I would be like, oh, actually that might work for my triple cork eventually. So learning even to listen, especially when you grow older, it's as much as important as when you're younger.
Oh, totally. I mean, these are all things that can help at any level. People think that like mobility work and like warming up and stuff is like when you get older. It's like, no, it would have helped you younger. You just don't feel the effects yet because it hasn't accumulated yet. But it's still the
Yeah.
same situation. Like you still need to prepare your body for movement. Unfortunately, because we sit all day, so we need to do that. We need to prepare ourselves for movement. Maybe back then, when you're moving all day, you don't need to warm up before doing like before hunting or whatever. But now the way we are, we're on our phones and stuff, so we do have to prepare ourselves. And if you don't, you're just not going to be ready, and you could do all the things that
But
we're talking about.
it will affect your longevity.
1000% and performance. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
That's the main thing too. Like if people are like, not caring about longevity yet, totally respectable. Like you're 15, maybe there's things we're not thinking about yet. We're not thinking about retirement, like, so that's normal,
No.
right? But at the same time, it's going to affect your performance and you do care about that. So why don't we start doing things that's going to help you now and later? It just takes a little bit of work and knowledge, and like, it's not as easy as
I
just.
always said I wish I had this knowledge I have now when I started tricking.
It would be
I would have
amazing.
avoided so many injuries. I would have avoided probably all my injuries
Yeah,
just because of my knowledge that I accumulate through the years.
exactly.
Kids nowadays are so lucky. Internet is available to everyone.
Yeah.
Knowledge is easy to find online in every platform. You talk about learning tricking, you talk about like what we're doing now, which is like longevity in training and all this kind of stuff. Now you can find online. When I started to do trick, well, in 2008, I didn't even speak English, but at the time, it was so much harder to find information. I remember the only thing I had was the PDF from Seshomaru, the tricking Bible. That was my only reference I had for tricking. So I knew pretty much a concept of the moves, but that was about it. Okay,
Yeah.
you want to do 540, you learn tornado first, then you go for 540. You want to do butterfly twist, first you learn butterfly knife, then you try big twist.
Yeah.
All this kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that was my progression at the time.
Totally. And it's so funny because tricking is so interesting, right? Because like almost the whole life of tricking, like obviously it's easier now. Totally agree. But like even back then, it's been like an internet sport. Like when I learned about tricking, it was like a backflip tutorial by Juji, like on dial-up internet, and it took me over an hour to download it. And then so I got this. It was like right when YouTube was starting. And I mean, from then to now, the explosion of knowledge is like insane.
Crazy. Yes.
Like,
yes.
it
All
is
these
insane.
podcasts that is around, blogs and
Yeah.
so on. It's insane, the knowledge that is around.
And just like what you said before is perfect, and that's why I listen to like podcasts so much, especially at night. Like I do my mobility, and I'll just like throw on different subjects, PT, tricking, whatever, movement,
anything
coaching. Yeah, exactly. And like it's just like what you said about the Tim Farley quote. It's like you never know when something's just gonna get thrown back, like weeks or even the next day, even the next hour. Sometimes I've listened to stuff and I'll try it with a client like the next hour, and I get a really good result. It's like, and just if you constantly learn, constantly accumulate knowledge like that, like you have time on your side at least. So like we all have time on our side. Like no matter how, 31, you're 38 now?
Yes, 38
nice.
now.
When's your birthday? Just curious.
7th of May.
Okay, kind of close. Mine's July 31st.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we're not too far.
No, we should have a gathering about it.
Yeah, like over 30's gathering. Yeah, that would be thing. At least no one gonna complain that everyone is young.
Honestly,
I've
been starting to feel that lately, surprisingly, and I think it's because of the COVID, honestly, because for 2 years, like there was a big gap, So I haven't been to an event since 2019. I was 2 years younger, and it was more gradual. Since I had been going to events this whole time, everyone that I knew was kind of like getting older with me. But now there's a whole new wave of trickers that started during COVID, which is really crazy.
Yeah.
And they're super young, and they're all at these gatherings now. And I'm like, whoa, I know like half of the people here. I used to know like 95%.
I know the feeling. For me, imagine like I left my town when basically I was when I started doing breakdance. I left my town, my hometown, because it was a small town, like 4,000 people.
Mm,
So I left for the bigger city because there were more breaker at the time.
yeah.
When I go back to my hometown now, first of all the people at my age, they look rubbish. I'm like, guys, and then I think, oh yeah, they are on their 40s, but I'm on my 40s as well. But they all look like oldish. I don't know how to explain, but they look like they give up on life.
Oh, totally.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And then all the younger people that is around, they are probably kids of my friends. They are not anymore my friends. You know, so I have this weird feeling when I go back to my town. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't go very often. I just go to there to visit my family, but that's about it. I don't need to go around there in the town.
It's different interests, man. And like you said, I mean, there's so many people that value a lot of things before health. Like health will be like the seventh priority or the 10th priority.
Yeah.
And
And then when they realize how important it is, they see the difference.
right, and it's wild because like I said earlier, it's like the vehicle in which you experience the world. So you can't do a desk job if you don't like you don't have access to your brain as much if you don't know how to
No.
move.
Yes.
Or if you don't
Exactly.
move regularly, all these things are like super important, but you can't tell somebody that isn't ready to hear it or hasn't experienced it for themselves. Like it's
100%.
really hard to do that, you know? And it kind of comes back to this whole thing where like we're all healthy, we're all trying to be our best as far as like tricking and stuff, but it's very hard to tell people that haven't been injured, don't really care about that, come from I mean, some people come from a background where they've done a sport where it's like suck it up, don't don't address anything like football, well, American football, things like that, you
Yeah.
know, where it's just like I mean, now we're getting more educated in every version of athletics, but still, it's like there's still that mentality of like just ignore.
Suck it up and do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ignore,
Exactly.
suck it up. What are you talking about that for? Like,
Yeah.
don't be a bitch. All this kind of stuff. It's like,
And sometimes it's not. But like there was a huge problem with Simone Bales recently, no, for the
yeah,
giving up on the Olympics, and then everyone was like freaking out. But even the mental aspect, it's as important as the physical aspect. So it was unbelievable how many people could criticize. They should be there before they be able to criticize. They don't
for
even know how
sure.
to walk with other people's shoes.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of these judges have like never done anything. It's crazy.
Like 100%. Like you can do the judge course. Doesn't matter what's your level.
Yeah,
So it's like
that's
how you should
wild.
be at least be able to do some flips to understand how really difficult it is. But they just
Yeah.
because British gymnastics in general, they have like their point of view. Okay, pointed toes, difficult to flip, straighter lines. There is actually easy to choose one judge to do only one thing. For being a judge for tricking, it's harder and it's no easy. It's not easy to
No.
be a judge for tricking.
Especially if you're not a tricker. I think it's easier for
Yeah,
us than it is for them, maybe, at least at the beginning,
yeah,
because we actually trick and they don't do
yeah.
gymnastics.
Yeah, but at the same time, one of the reasons why I'm not a huge fan of the regular, like for example, I love the vibe of the hooked battle,
Hmm.
but I never be interested to be completely part of them because judges are humans, and humans are subject to mistakes.
Totally.
And so if you have your favorite tricker in the battle, it's more likely you're gonna have an eye for him. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like it doesn't matter what trick it does, you will still appreciate more because you know him more in a personal level. Like
Hmm.
you a little bit of fanboy. A tricker judge is a fanboy of someone. So if the tricker is in the battle, you're gonna favorite him. Doesn't matter what's the level of the trick it does.
Yeah,
So yeah,
for sure. Imagine if we
that's why
like we could make it super strict, like being a lawyer, where like you can't judge a battle of somebody you know.
yeah, for sure.
But that's
But the thing is, like,
impossible.
tricking is too small. Exactly. You always end up knowing someone.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. So, like you were talking before about how when you first started coaching, you were really understanding the mechanics but you didn't
Yeah,
maybe understand like the emotional or mental side yet as much.
yeah.
What helped you to understand that, and how did you apply it to yourself? How do you apply it to your students?
Okay, the main thing I didn't understand at the beginning was fear.
Hmm.
I never understood the fear from people. Like when I hear people saying, "Oh, I'm afraid to do a backward roll," that was alien to me. I was like, what does it mean be afraid of that? And because I was a fearless kid,
Right,
so I was like, I don't get it what it meant.
right.
And then when you were like, okay, of course, if you ask me, try a triple backflip, it would be like a I can explain like a real fear because you know it's harder to flip 3 times in the air, but backward roll was nothing.
Right.
Then I realized that reading or anyway doing something about fear, I realized that you have two kind of fear: the rational fear and the irrational fear. The irrational fear usually comes from the fear of something that can happen but never happened before. Then you have a rational fear that comes by experience.
Hmm.
They are both exactly the same feeling. The difference is the irrational fear can be beaten easier than the rational fear. Because the
Yeah.
rational fear comes from experience. So you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to do it. But with the proper drills, you can beat the irrational fear. So you can help people overcome them. So that was like the first step I had to learn on my teaching.
Hmm.
Get rid of people fear.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like right now I feel more like I'm a psycho because teaching move is so easy. But teaching psychology, like how to overtake certain bits of the move, that is the hard. That's my real job in a way.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, fear expect was the first thing. Then emotional aspect, which is basically you need to be able to provide enough confidence to the person to be able to do something, as well as give them like safety that nothing really happen if they do something that is out of their comfort zone,
Mm.
especially if they want to learn. So this is probably what the two main aspect for me to learn. Then, of course, the emotional aspect. For example, if you teach a teenager, is a completely different feeling of when you teach an adult. An adult can understand more. Even if you're like a little bit harsh, they understand that you want them to do for them.
Right.
And while a teenager sometimes can be almost getting not offended, but like it misunderstand your word, almost like you want to be rude to them or you want to be aggressive to them when you actually
Right.
care so much about
Right.
what you do
Right.
that like they don't understand that. So sometimes I just say to my students, guys, remember one thing: I'm Italian. I shout even if I don't have to. So, so this way they take in a fun way and they understand that they relax a little bit. So even be fun while I'm teaching. That was a really hard thing to do. I had to learn with experience. It
Yeah.
was hard,
And I think
especially
we're,
because for me, I love it so much
yeah.
that all my passion become like almost aggressive. So
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, let's go, and they feel like, oh my God, they feel almost intimidated by that. So
Yeah.
it's not
No,
easy.
I was about to say, I feel like we're similar in that way where, we came up from like just not much fear, Dragon Ball Z, aggression,
Yes,
shouting, yelling.
but
But it's all from a place of love, you know what I mean?
always
Nice.
guys on silent things.
I had a Dragon Ball Z shirt. I was gonna wear it, and it's just not that comfortable, so I didn't. But
Oh yeah, this is all right. This was good.
that looks very comfortable. I want one of those. Dang. But
So yeah, not having fear is weird because a lot of people have fear, way more than we're expecting.
totally, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. I mean, I was definitely like right when I first started learning a backflip, I was pretty scared, but I got over it really quickly. Like it only took like a couple days maybe for me to start trying it on my own, but then it took like 4 months for me to land it on my own. So I would just be like, it was at the point where I was just doing it in high school, like with shoes on,
yeah,
like in the
yeah.
hallways, but never landing it. Like I had never landed it. I would just land hands and feet
Oh,
all the time.
hands and feet.
And
Yeah,
I'm just like, ah. And then one day
yeah.
I just like kind of like again back to the Tim Farley tip where I was like, what if I just hold my knees with my hands actually? These are, you know.
Instead of putting it down. Yes.
Well, no, I mean like I wasn't tucking. Like I wasn't holding my legs
Ah,
together.
oh, you want to hold it now? Okay, okay,
Yeah, so then I just tucked and I instantly landed and I was like, are you serious?
okay. I
And
needed just to do that.
and that's the thing that like with coaching that's so cool where you could take your experience and just give it to someone, and then now they don't have to go through 4 months of unnecessary
No, I
trouble,
understand. Yes,
ending up
yes.
hurting themselves and all. You can get further than that, and that's why it's so dope. Like, so I guess let's go to, like, when did you start your gym now? Like, let's talk about Overgravity and
Yeah. Okay.
how that
So
started.
I arrived here in London in 2012.
Okay.
And as I said, I didn't speak a word of English at the time. So I had to first improve my English. And my background, professional background, I was a chef for 15 years. So I
Yeah,
was
that's
teaching
another thing I want to talk about. There's so much to talk about, man. This guy's
yeah.
a chef
It was
too.
basically for me, it was a part-time job teaching in Italy.
Yeah.
And I was doing because of the passion of teaching, but I was working as a chef in any place I could find at the time, so to pay basically bills. And when I arrived here in UK, the only thing I had was a gym for training, which went back then, and the place to work, which was in the kitchen. I was working 80 hours a week,
Oh my God.
and I had 2 days and a half off. So I was taking 5 sessions in these 2 days and a half. One in the morning, one in the evening, and I was basically alternating all this kind of stuff.
Jeez.
So I was able to train enough, even when I was working as a chef.
Right.
And in 2015, I took my gymnastic course coach here in UK because I was like, you know what, it might be helpful to have it. And at the same time, one guy randomly saw him. The place where you slept, the arch. You remember?
Yeah.
That was the gym I was coaching at the time. Basically, the guy that was owning that space, he saw me teaching cartwheel to a girl in the gym randomly. And then he asked me, "Oh, do you teach?" I was like, "I'll do some teaching." I was still working as a chef, so I didn't have much time. So this guy just offered me 2 hours a week to teach adults gymnastics. So the system they had was rubbish. It was literally, you saw the place. It was literally like an air track on that, 2 couple of staff, some mats, and there's like teach whatever you can. And they had a sort of system, but it didn't make any sense for my teaching experience. So I completely I make a revolution of that system, and I create a system based on a sort of circuit training while teaching every part of the movement. So we do, for example, 4 or 5 stations where you create all the drills. And then, for example, you do back handspring, you do like backward roll to handstand, jumping on top of a mat, bridge kick over, little stuff to help the whole motion. And then towards the end of the lesson, the people can try or at least understand how the back handspring works.
For sure.
So the system made so much sense to me that I was like, I am actually creating something that I've never seen before.
Right.
One of my friends from Italy arrived here in UK, and he asked me if I had a job. He was coaching already. It was like we know each other for like 6-7 years at the time. And then he asked me, "Oh, do you have a job for me?" And I needed someone to cover a Saturday in there. So I found him a job teaching kids. I don't teach kids, but for him it needed at the beginning. And on Saturday he was working with me in this gym, which we were both hired by the owner. And in 2017, a new manager came out. And when you have always 2 kind of people you meet in your life. The person that you love just that you see them. There is we call it love by skin in Italy. Like you feel that there is chemistry,
For
basically.
sure.
This guy gave me the completely opposite attitude. When I was seeing him, my blood was boiling. I was raging. Like, I don't know why. It was giving such a bad attitude. And you saw me how I am at the gathering.
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
super friendly.
Yeah,
I was friendly
great.
with him. But then he gave me this boiling blood that when he was messaging me, I had to wait 10 minutes to calm down to answer him. It was crazy. But because of that, I spoke with my colleague and I said, you know what? We have a system. We have better ideas to what to do. Let's open a gym together.
Yeah.
And then I found another arch, which was a little bit smaller. And at the time, it cost me like almost, I think it was almost $3,000 a month of renting.
Okay.
But I had already my portfolio of clients. My friend he had a couple, but I said to him, listen, they're going to grow. As soon as we have our own space, they're going to grow. And we opened the first Overgravity Gymnastics, which was the black floor. If you saw it, was
I
black
think I
and
remember
red.
the first time you opened it. Yeah. Like,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
And basically it was a really fun for me. It was really good because it was a huge emotion to become actual the business owner for the first time.
Right. That's
So
awesome, dude.
18th of March 2018, we did the first session. The 15th of March we got the space and the floor, and from the 18th of March we opened the first session basically. And from there we stayed 2 years. And during COVID, I found another space, which is now the Overgravity, the new one. And now it's twice as big as before.
Nice.
We pay twice the rent, of course, but now we have like more than 40 hours lesson per week, plus
Yes.
the private lesson. So the business went incredibly well, even during the pandemic. So,
awesome,
now
man.
we're just looking forward to get better. And now I'm gonna explain you a fun thing. The reason why it's called Overgravity. So I'm gonna show you the symbol now, which I have it in my pictures. So this is the Overgravity gymnastic symbol.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
As you can see, in the middle is a G, and the outlay is a O. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So basically, because I'm a passionate in astrophysics, I don't know much. Like I would love to know more about mathematics, but basically the O is a black hole,
Okay.
and the G is the pool of gravity. The matter that's going inside the black hole.
Wow. Nice.
So that's why we call over gravity, because
Nice.
we literally fight gravity every time we flip.
For sure.
So that was like we thought about this the logo, and then we end up doing that. I think I am so proud of this. It's such a specific
sick.
thing.
You know what's really
But-
cool? Like it's OG, like original gangster.
Yes, exactly.
Like I want a shirt
We
now.
thought about this stuff.
Do you guys have shirts?
Yeah, we have shirts, and one of the shirts said "Never too high." Like we all did this hilarious stuff. Like for example, give me a second.
No
I'll show
worries.
you. I have like my own jumper, which is this one, and
Oh,
as you
it's
can see, it's
sick.
orange because I hate orange. And then on the back there is All Might. They say "Go Beyond" plus
Nice.
Ultra.
Dude, that is
So-
sick. Wait, can you pull that back again real quick? That just the front of it. Like the other cool
front
thing
of
that I think you'll appreciate as a fellow anime nerd is that kind of looks like the Naruto seal. Just wanted to throw that out.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you ever thought
can
about
do.
that. With the orange, it was obvious, like to me.
Yeah.
But
So like it was fun to be able to do all the the thing about owning a business, you decide your own shit, and that is like for someone is a limit. For me, it was amazing.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like just recently, you saw we switched from red floor to blue floor.
hmm
I post something, and then like when I upgrade the floor, my students ask me, "Why are you doing this?" And I was like, "Guys, this is my place. I do these things for me.
yeah,
If I benefit of what I'm doing, you'll benefit twice.
yeah,
Because if I'm happy with what I have, you'll be even happier. Because if this floor feels soft for me, for you will feel a cloud.
yeah.
Because like for us, a soft floor is like, oh yeah, that's what I want to flip on. For them, they can fall on much more.
Right, like they
So-
need the soft floor more than us, even though we prefer it and we understand the differences. They
Yeah.
basically need it to be safe.
Yes.
And to learn.
Yes,
Yeah, no,
exactly.
totally. I love that, man. And as a fellow business owner, just started pretty much. Officially, I mean, obviously been doing stuff with TrickStrong for a while now, but I officially started with not only like RX and stuff, but with like seeing clients here like a year ago now. So, I mean, I started
Okay.
during the pandemic. And
Yeah,
it's been going pretty well.
The good thing is medic stuff, like physiotherapy, goes well anyway, even during pandemics.
Yeah,
They allowed you to.
but the way I do it is a little bit different than like, so for example, if you were to go to like a clinic, yeah, everyone is still gonna have their surgeries. They're still gonna need to go through insurance, a normal like medical route and stuff like that. Like I'm not really part of that normal medical system, honestly. Like I'm a cash-based physical therapy service, so people will come to me mainly like stunt performers, trickers, which is really cool. Like I basically see people that do stuff that we do, which is really amazing. And so yeah, I mean, I have like scheduling software and stuff, so they'll just schedule and then come here, and that's half of it, and then the other half is you know, like the RX, the online stuff, and
that's
stuff
how I
like
do.
this.
Like my base as a personal trainer is the same concept. And like, for example, one cool thing, all gymnastic places, they need to follow the British gymnastic rules, but we're not British gymnastics, so we're completely outside the rules,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be tied with anyone. I want to do flips as I want. I want to teach as I do, and I want people to be happy on the way we do, and it works much better than be tied with gymnastics.
I couldn't that is exactly why I'm doing how I'm doing things here, because like when you go to a clinic, and as you've probably experienced, honestly, whether you knew it or not, like when you're at a clinic, it's not, yes, you know, there's people that might not have like the same passion and knowledge and stuff like that. That sucks, and we talked about that. But then there's also the other aspect where the clinician, the physical therapist, the massage therapist, or like whoever, is gonna have to do things based off of what the insurance company wants. They're treating based off of like billing, based off of laws, like about, you know, if like the insurance company will be like, hey, if and by the way, it's like the thing we talked about earlier with the judging, where the people in the insurance company are the judges and they don't even do physical therapy or anything, and then they're telling physical therapists how to treat. And they're like, you have to have certain units of this, you have to have certain time doing this kind of thing, even if it doesn't fully match what the person's issue is. Like you have to spend certain time doing like you know, certain types of therapies. I don't, you know, we don't need to get into the details, but basically they dictate how you treat. And so when I do it this way, I do how I want, what I want, because people aren't going through insurance to come to me. They're coming to me as like, hey, you know a lot more about what I do because you're also a performing artist. So I'm gonna go to you because I recognize that you understand stuff, and it's worth not going through insurance because they're gonna do stuff based off of random people that aren't even in the situation telling you how to do stuff. Like it's wild, man.
As you know, I got my ACL done. I injured my ACL on the gathering in Sweden in 1st of November 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a stupid thing because it was for a cork late night, which I don't even care about owning that trick.
Yeah.
You know, you always get hurt with the stupid things.
For sure.
But anyway, I got my surgery in July. The surgeon is amazing. Like, it was a little bit pessimistic. For example, he said, oh, you might need 2 to 3 weeks to walk. I went back home from the surgery and I was walking, but without crutches.
Dude, I remember. So, I took a screenshot of that, and it's on the TrickStrong site right now. Remember when I asked you like if I could use it? I was like, this guy's walking like a few hours
after. The same day of the surgery. I went back and I was like, I felt the weight. I was like, I don't need the crutches. And I just started to walk without crutches. And it was my wife. She would look at me like, shouldn't to use that? And I was like, they tell you to use that to avoid people falling. But if you have strength enough to do it, it's actually the other way around. You need to walk to make your blood circulation go on.
Absolutely.
So I never use the crutches, basically. Never use them. Not even one day.
Good.
So anyway, after 4 days of the surgery, the girl was the physiotherapist was so surprised that I was 1 degree less from full straight leg.
Nice.
And she said that usually people take 3 months to get the full extension. I got the full extension after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was like, this physiotherapist thinks that you give me a rubbish. So I start to do all my own research about knees and this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I did my own rehab by myself. Yeah. I saw the physiotherapist 3 times for the ACL. And then she just tell me, don't come here anymore because you don't need me.
Yeah, well,
she said that.
And that's the problem. Like, I mean, that's great that she said that because a lot of people don't say it, and then they're just like, and then there might be people that don't know as much as you, and then they just stay, and then they're just doing low-level stuff. So I mean, that's a good thing, but the thing that sucks is the rehab level is not high enough in these clinics. Like, I mean, it's cut off a little bit, but I have a squat rack right there with a lot of weight on the floor. Like, that's what you need as an athlete. You need resistance, you need strength, and the reason they're not they're not used to someone like you being like that would be relatively normal for an athlete, like what you said, because we take care of our bodies, we condition and all that, but like the general population, maybe, you know, they tear their ACL playing a game of like pickup basketball or pickup football. Like they don't even actually play the sport. They're just doing it randomly on the weekend for like some company party or something like that, you know? And then you get people who have ACL injuries that way. And those are the people that they see more so. And so they're used to people who they don't have the base. And that's why, like, if somebody's going into surgery, for example, and they can do like for example, with ACL, like, yeah, you might not be able to pivot and all that stuff, but like if you have to wait for surgery, you can strengthen. You can do squats. You can, and I'm sure
That's
you
exactly
did.
what I did.
And I'm sure you did. And that's why.
I got the surgery in July and I got injured in November.
Yeah.
Like I was doing triple fulls and I was squatting 150 kilos before getting the surgery.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to go there. That I'm stronger than what I was before getting injured.
Exactly.
Otherwise, after the surgery, I will take 3 times longer to recover.
Yeah.
And that's why I could walk the same day I was got the surgery, because
Exactly.
I lost. Like I tell you, my brother-in-law did surgery as well for the ACL. He lost 12 centimeters of muscle on the leg. I lost only, I think it's about 4 inches of muscle.
Yeah.
I lost only 1.5 inches of muscle in my leg.
Yeah.
So I was like, and he asked me, how did you lose so little? I was like, well, for me, it would be the other way around. Why did you lose so much?
Totally.
His muscle, they were too full of water and not enough of density.
Mm-hmm.
And you need the muscle density to hold your body weight. Anyway.
And this is all the stuff with preparedness that people like, you know, it's just, you got to experience it sometimes. Hopefully not. That's what I'm trying to work on. Just having people just know this stuff without having to experience it, and then just never having to deal with it. And then now our sport can go much further because we're athletes and we're treating ourselves as athletes versus like a lot of times in tricking and it's getting better now, obviously, but you know, there's still the case where we don't have coaches mostly. Yeah. Most people don't have coaches. Yeah. They're training on their own. Most people don't have an athletic background, or a lot of people in tricking don't. And yeah, then it becomes like you're not prepared for things like this, for injuries that will happen. Unfortunately, it's just nature. Like, look at what we're doing, dude. Like anyone could tell you're gonna get injured at some point.
Yeah. Like, to be honest, like I'm surprised that Jose and Zen they get injured badly for what they did. You like all respect, and I'm so happy that never happened. Yeah. But like corking back out from random setups or like all this kind of stuff, and you're like, how the hell you're still alive? When you look at that. Right?
Totally. And like if you're not prepared for those times.
Yeah, coaching, information. And be prepared, as well as good equipment.
Yeah.
Because that's what they have. They have good coach, good, of course. Well, they're Japanese, so like their strictness on training is completely different than all the like Westerns anyway.
For sure.
And strict coach that was like following them step by step in all the preparation. So they probably knew when they could do the trick because the coach told them that they wouldn't be able to do it. Now they train by themselves, but like at the time, probably they just was just like, whatever. Like, you want to do corking back out? Yeah, let's prepare for that, and then they just got it.
Right.
So,
the amazing thing with that too, with their setup, and it's like super valuable. I think people, if they can, should train this way. Is like they train on the surfaces. They take they like go maybe trampoline, then they go air track or air trick to pit, then they go air trick to floor. Then they go to floor. Like, even if it's in the same session, they've prepared the movement to know that they can do it. And if they don't land it off of the air track, they're not going to just chuck it on the floor versus a lot of people are just chucking stuff. They're not prepared. And yeah, it just becomes an issue. So when I say prepared, I don't mean like get prepared for the bad day that you're going to get an injury. Prepare for everything.
Learn to falling. It's like it's a path. You need to learn to fall, otherwise you're gonna die every single time you try. You know, like if you know to fall, like for example, you said you needed like 4 months to understand how to tuck, but you were prepared to put the hands down, so you were ready to fall every single time you were chucking the back.
Yeah.
When you see, like for example, my friend Matteo, which is like the first triple corker in Italy, he was literally one-shotting lots of stuff. Like he tried first cork, he's landed. He did first backflip, he's landed. He was talented, gifted, but he was not ready to fall. So when he started to fall, he got injured multiple times because he was only ready to land the trick, never ready to fail the trick.
Right.
For me, the other way around. I learned to fail a million times, then I start to land. So when I fall, I was like, well, it happened, whatever. Like, and then try again, try again. So
Yeah.
I had some kind of development you said. Like I had when I was in Australia, I was speaking with Scott Skelton, and he said, you never improve so much in one session, but you improve 0.1% every single session. And then at the end of the year, you have like 12, 15, 20% more of stuff that you got it from the start, but it's like consistent. It's not just there by like sheet of luck. You just got it. Oh, I landed one time and then I never landed for like 5 years. When I landed once, I landed after 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I still landed because it's been drilled in my brain as well as my muscle memory.
Because you had to go in to understand it.
100%.
And then so once you understand it, then you can just do it again because you understand it versus like just being natural, and then like sometimes it's just not as consistent because you didn't have as many reps and all that. You didn't learn as much.
And then you ask yourself, why I didn't land it? You didn't even have an answer. I always have an answer why I don't land one trick. I always have an answer. It doesn't matter what it is. I might not understand it. My body might not be ready, but I know why. I just need to make the body ready. That's it.
Absolutely.
At the same time, I'm not sure if that happened to you with some of our students or some like when you give some tips or some exercise to someone and they come back to you only after 2 or 3 years. Oh, now I understand why you gave me that exercise. Did it ever happen to you?
Like I've moved around so much. That's my thing. So like I've been seeing a lot of different clients and coaches and students, but yeah, I get that sometimes, and it's more like based on advice too, like just stuff like this, like just talking to people about physical therapy, like or trickers or whatever. I'd be like, yeah, well that's gonna be really important, and then a few months later they're like, I really did feel the importance of training a single leg deadlift. It really helped my swings or whatever else. It's like that kind of stuff I hear a lot. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. The main problem is that like things like alcohol, junk food, and all the things that give you like an immediate burst of dopamine, while hard work, running, conditioning, strength is so boring and tedious that you don't want to do it. But then that the reverse is actually true. You want to have that in order to be better. No, only the junk stuff.
Yeah, that's like the hardest realization I think for most people that like having to choose, like having to you have to do chores for tricking.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly like that. Stretching, mobility, strength, and tricking at the same time. So it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job to be a tricker.
If you want to be good, yeah, it's going to be a full-time job. I mean, you're 38. You're going on 39. And obviously you've been tagged in a lot of posts, so it's no secret to you, but you've become like one of the main symbols of longevity in the sport. How does that feel? How do you feel like a sense of responsibility? Do you feel like you have to send a message at all, or do you want to send a message at all to people? Like, do you like that? How do you feel about it?
Okay, I love the fact that people see me as a symbol of longevity because it means that they can achieve what I am at for a long time. Like, for example, let's say if 20 years old, they tell me, oh, I'm so happy that you're still tricking at your 40s. I say, well, you know what it means. You still have 20 years to develop your skill and refine an art, which is tricking. And when they tell me, it actually motivates me even more to say, you know what? Like I can push even harder than that. I mean, not only because harder on my trick, but like to keep myself on the best shape possible. So as I said earlier, the same thing I do with my students in my teaching is always give and take. If you're able to take, you're able to give. If you're able to give, you're able to take. So when people are comforted by the idea that they can trick for long, I'm comfortable with the idea that I'm actually tricking for quite long. You know what I mean? So it's a cool feeling because it allows me to also be appreciated by other people but at the same time, I do this especially for myself because I don't know why. I think I always loved movement. Like I have a little funny story to tell you. I
Sure.
remember when the first sport I did in my young ages, I played soccer or football, how we call it here. And I remember my coach was complaining to my parents because I was doing cartwheels and handstand. I was a goalkeeper.
Mhm.
It was very boring, the game, and I was doing cartwheels and handstands. And then growing up, I said to my dad, "You see, I'm actually now making money by teaching cartwheels and handstands. Played football and didn't need it." So it was quite funny things. But that's I always did this for myself. So I wanted to do acrobatics since I was a kid. There was no option to do it when I was younger. But then when I was 25, I just said, you know what? I'm old enough to choose what I want to do, and I want to do flips. Then I discovered tricking because of that. But like it was amazing to choose at 25 what I wanted to do and be recognized with like all around the world from tricker,
For
and
sure.
as well to be able to travel all around the world because of tricking. I wouldn't have done the same without tricking. So tricking is a huge part of my life, and be able to open a gym to teach gymnastics and tricking was the best thing I could choose for my life.
That's awesome, man. Like, yeah. I I feel similarly with people often ask, they're like, "Oh man, you're working out a lot and you're posting a lot and all that." But it's a two-way street. It's like
Yeah,
because I'm hearing about benefits from people doing the program and everything, and
yeah,
from people just getting better, which is literally my
yeah,
goal. I want everyone to enjoy this tricking experience so much because, like you said, it's given me so much. I would love for
yes,
it to give everyone else at least as much as it's given me, and for them to enjoy the experience for as long as they can.
100%.
So, like, yeah, I mean, it's always a two-way street, and I love that, like, that's just the best part about the community. It's a two-way street. It's always a two-way street.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
I noticed though, like to become a coach, sometimes you shouldn't be a gifted athlete. I realized that most of the gifted athletes they're horrible coaches. Instead, the people that work the hardest, they usually become the better coaches.
Yeah, totally, because they had to think about so much, and
My God,
yeah.
so many ways to only think about a different trick. So
I
many
I
ways.
will say there's a few people, who's really good at teaching but is also very talented? Malik.
Oh yeah. Malik is amazing, and he's
Yeah.
so good at tricking. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the
You
rare
know,
ones that is like really good, but also very much understands the mechanics and very like why he's able to do everything he's doing. He understands it. He like breaks it down to a science. Yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, so like, what do you do outside? Obviously, we talked about like working out, basically this whole
yeah.
podcast and stuff. But like, what do you do outside of strength and conditioning to promote your
Well,
health?
my because I was a chef, I really love know a lot about nutrition. So I'm always trying to experience a different knowledge and different aspect of nutrition. And I listen a lot of podcasts about nutrition, especially because I follow mostly a low carb diet.
Mm,
I went to keto, went to carnivore. Never been vegan. Sorry, guys, but like I don't think like for my knowledge, I don't find it healthy.
yeah,
So learning as much as possible that how much food can affect your performance, it was always been interesting for me because sometimes you feel like, oh, if I eat a lot of sugar I feel very energetic, and I always find like when I had a massive steak the day before I had like my best performance. So I was like, I always find this weird relationship between food and performance. So I always try to find the best way to adapt my food to my performance. So that's probably one of the best things I do. Then, as I said earlier, because of the OG symbol, I like to listen about like podcast in general about everything, and astrophysics as well, mechanics of movement, or even sometimes, like for example, one of the reasons why I love physics is because like the concept of lever is what helped me to learn how to land my first double backflip,
mm,
because I didn't know the concept of blocking before. But I learned through physics because it was like, okay, if you learn you land your run off this way, you get much better lift towards up. So basically, for me, it was applying the concept of a lever inside of my roundoff that help me to learn my double backflip.
Right.
So like I try to always use my own different interest to improve my tricking and my life in general. Because as I said, I take from the knowledge and I give to my students. So that was really cool for me. Like I love all this kind of stuff. Yeah, but nutrition, I guess, is one of my favorite. It's always fun to see how people react different about different foods.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like when you were talking about earlier, like your performance, like that's such a big thing because a lot of it's going to be genetic and individual. It's like preference, it's genetics, it's a lot of things like that. So, I mean, as I'm sure you know and you've seen, there's some, vegan athletes that do pretty well or very
Yes,
well,
100%.
and whether that's just they're doing it in spite of the diet or they're doing it because of the diet, I don't think it really matters. I mean, yes, there are things that are more optimal than others from a chemical standpoint. Like your body has
Of course.
certain
But
chemistry,
these
but it's
origins,
different chemistry in each body.
yeah, exactly. Because the origins, because of background. For example, like a person that live up north, it tolerates less grain than a person that lives south.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically it was harder for millennials to find grain up north when it's colder, when it was easy to find grains on a lower, like closer to the equatorial level.
Yeah.
So all these aspects affect genetically our background. So if you're a person that lives in a certain area or you have a certain genetic background, you might find more helpful. Then there is like now genetic studies about like if you have more Neanderthal blood in your genes, you're prone to eat more low carb diet than a high carb diet. So like there is a lot of these little things that change massively. So even the background can affect your genetics and your diet.
Yeah, totally.
And your performance consequences.
Yeah. Performance first, I think, just because it helps sell the message a little bit better.
Yeah,
you know,
performance first. 100%.
performance first.
Like, if there is a vegan athlete that does is like let's talk about 100 meters. A vegan athlete that does run 100 meters run faster than Bolt. And that would be like, okay, that's definitely working. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
but it is an N, like for science though, it is an
yeah,
N of one. They could have been that
yeah,
way with any diet. It could have been just all their athleticism overriding all the other stuff. So I think it's like,
of course.
I think I think you know how you feel when you eat something,
Yeah,
and that's important. Knowing how it makes you feel, and whatever the reason for it, that's how it makes you feel, and that's what you should probably be doing, unless if it's like garbage food, obviously.
yeah. Well,
But
that's because of inflammation, right?
right,
You need
right,
to get your food that avoid your body to be inflamed,
yeah,
because that's how injury get on, and how you take longer to recover.
yeah.
So keep it the most real as possible to real food, both vegetables and meat or fruit, and then you'll be fine. However is your diet.
Hydration
Yeah,
and
real
sleep
food.
will be
Yeah,
very. How
it's
do you
three,
sleep?
three
How do you
big
sleep? Just
parts.
real quick.
Okay, my daughter now she's 8 months old,
Yeah.
so she goes to sleep at like 8:30 p.m. She's already sleeping
Mm,
usually,
yeah.
and then instead to try it and keep it longer, I go to sleep when she goes to sleep,
Mm,
and I try to sleep from 8:30 to 5:30, 6 in the morning, and
nice.
then usually 3 days a week I go for running. I have a little home gym. I have a treadmill at home, so I run like 10, 12 Ks depending on the day how I feel,
Yeah.
and which is about 6 miles, I think. And I sleep about 8 hours per night, 7, 8. The only problem for me if I sleep like 3, 4 days in a row more than 8 hours, then one night I will wake up after 4, completely energized because I slept too much the other days. It's almost like accumulate sleeping,
Mm,
which I hate. I want to sleep good, especially the day I need to trick.
right. For
Because
sure.
for tricking you need to be awake. For running, it's just a repetitive motion. So
Yeah, I mean, there's so many studies that
yeah.
show performance drops if you just even get 6 hours of sleep versus 7, let alone what a
Yes.
lot of people end up doing, which is like 5, 4, whatever else.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other topic. We've definitely been talking for a while. I just wanted to close it out
Yeah.
with like if you have actionable tips for anybody listening to improve their performance or longevity? Obviously, we talked about a lot of things already, but if they're just like, I don't know, it doesn't have to be a certain amount, just like a few like key tips that you think are like super important for anyone to do.
Points. Yeah, yeah. Like I will say, first thing is like take care of your health because your health is gonna be with you forever if you take care of it. Then mobility, strength, and prehab even before thinking about getting injured. The stronger you are, the less likely you get injured. Then take care of your nutrition and your sleep, which we already said. Uh, don't follow something particular, but follow what your body tells you feels good. If don't be scared of changes, because if you try a diet and it's not working for you, don't be stubborn just because someone is following. If you feel it's wrong, change it and work hard. Like that is the best tip that you can have in your world. Like be patient, work hard because the results comes when you want them, not when you decide it's time to have them. So yeah, that's probably the key point for my
Couldn't
life in
have,
general as well.
yeah, I couldn't have said it better, man. Just follow the process. Like a lot
Yeah,
of people fall
exactly.
off of stuff after a few weeks expecting it to work. It doesn't take weeks. It takes months and years and decades sometimes to make the
Yeah, oh,
changes that you would
yes.
want to make, So, you got to be patient. It's not even about being patient necessarily. At least for me, it doesn't feel like I'm waiting for something. It feels as if
Yeah.
I'm working towards something,
Yes, that
you
is a
know?
completely different attitude. It's like enjoy the path of learning
Right.
rather than think, oh, my learning is to be triple cork, otherwise I'm not a real tricker. It's like, what does it mean? You're a
Yeah.
real tricker because you love tricking.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, enjoy your session. Doesn't matter what trick you perform.
Right.
So,
Right.
but I guess when you get older, you get wiser. So you understand more the value of this.
Exactly. These are the things that it would be great to just put them out in the world right now, and then hopefully
Yeah.
somebody can realize this 5 years earlier than they would have
Yeah.
if they didn't hear, the things that
Yeah.
like
Well,
the
I was already older when I started.
you're
So it
always
was a little
been
bit
the
older.
oldest person in your
Yeah.
group.
Yes.
You're just like the dude with like the epic staff or cane, just like you just need like a long beard now.
You shall know swing.
Oh man. So where can people find you and your content and what you've been doing if
Mostly
they want to follow you?
Instagram, like Instagram, Matteo underscore SSJ2, like Super Saiyan 2.
Of course.
I need to upgrade eventually when I get like my triple swing triple when I will be 50.
Nice.
And I don't use much Facebook, but I'm on Messenger if people want to contact me there. So like Matteo D Cara in Facebook,
Is that
which is
Dub Dub?
is for Dub Dub, but also
I
because
just
of
thought of that.
yeah, because it was the D at the beginning it was Matteo D Cara, which was for the D in One Piece,
Mm.
like because the haki power, no, like the willpower of the emperor.
Yeah,
And
I
then
actually
when I
never
learned
watched
Dub
it,
Dub,
but I messed up on that one. It's too long now.
yeah,
It's way too long.
yeah, it's way too long. But I'm still up. I still love it.
Nice,
And
nice.
then YouTube, if you look Matteo Cara tricking, you'll find all my videos. I think Matteo Limited Breaker was the best, the like double tech of my power at the time.
Mm.
Hopefully, I'm gonna be back there. So if at 40 I will be able to do still trip cork and stuff like that, that would be good.
I don't see why
Only
not.
3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest, like when I will be 40, if I will still be able to learn triple cork, I will literally call the Guinness Book World Record, and I want to certify that I'm the oldest person in the world able to do that.
Yeah,
Like I will do it. I will do it for
you
sure.
definitely should. That's amazing. All right, brother. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for this.
Same for me.
Such a
No
good,
worries.
such a
Thanks
good
for being
talk.
with you, and
Great talk.
good.
Great catching up for it, man. Too. Like,
Yeah, exactly. It was cool that too as well. I wanted to do it especially for that because it was such a long time without sharing two words.
we'll do it again real soon. Like, no
Yeah,
worries. All
cool.
right, man. See you later. Till next
Take
time.
care. Yes. Take care, brother. Bye bye.